on the feast before you. I watched a bird this morning land on a branch heavy with fruit, eat its fill, and fly away without once looking back to see what it might have missed. It did not inventory the tree. It did not worry about the ripeness of what remained. It ate, it sang, and it left. I thought of you immediately, and I thought of myself, and I smiled at how differently we tend to approach the same situation. You have been given a life of remarkable fullness, and yet you move through it most days as though something essential were missing. I say this not to scold you, but because I recognize the habit. It is one of the most human things about us. We are creatures who can stand in a warm kitchen, bread rising on the counter, sunlight falling across the table, and feel certain that happiness must be somewhere else. It is an almost impressive talent when you think about it. A whole species blessed with consciousness, using that consciousness primarily to catalogue what it lacks. But let us look more closely at this tendency, because I think it deserves gentle examination rather than harsh correction. Consider what actually surrounds you on any given morning. There is the fact of waking itself, which millions did not do today. There is the first breath, drawn without effort, lungs doing their quiet work as they have done every moment since you arrived. There is perhaps a window, through it light. Not dramatic light, not the light of grand occasions, but the ordinary, faithful light that returns each day whether or not you notice it. There is water that runs clean from a tap, and the remarkable sensation of its coolness against your hands. These are not small things pretending to be large. They are large things you have been calling small. I suspect you will nod at this, and then, within the hour, return to your familiar dissatisfactions. That is fine. I am not asking you to become someone who floats through life in a haze of forced wonder, touching tree bark and weeping. That person is exhausting at dinner parties. What I am asking is something simpler, that you begin to notice the ratio. How much of your day is spent reaching for what is absent, and how much is spent receiving what is present? If you tracked this honestly, the imbalance might startle you. We are misers of attention, hoarding it for our worries and our wants, while the actual, breathing, luminous world goes begging. There is a particular kind of greed that disguises itself as ambition. It says, "When I have this, then I will rest. When I arrive there, then I will be satisfied." You have spoken this way yourself. You have placed your peace on a shelf just slightly too high to reach, and each time you grow tall enough, you move the shelf. Do you see the trick of it? The finish line is painted on a cart that rolls forward at precisely your speed. You were never meant to catch it, because the catching was never really the point. The running was the point. And somewhere in the running, you forgot to notice the meadow you were running through. I do not say this to discourage effort. Effort is beautiful. To work with your hands, to build, to learn, to stretch toward mastery of a craft or an idea, these are among the finest uses of a life. But there is a difference between effort that arises from love and effort that arises from the quiet terror that you are not yet enough. The first kind fills you. The second empties you. And you can feel the difference if you are honest with yourself. The way you can feel the difference between hunger and habit when you reach for bread. Let me tell you what I think the good life looks like, since you have asked me in your way. It looks like a person who can sit with a cup of something warm on a cold evening and feel genuinely that this is sufficient. Not because they have given up on more, not because they have numbed themselves to desire, but because they have finally understood that this moment, this unrepeatable configuration of breath and sensation and aliveness, is itself the feast. Everything else is a second helping. Welcome, certainly. Enjoyed, absolutely, but not needed for the meal to be complete. You worry, I know, that gratitude will make you passive. But if you stop hungering, you will stop moving. But have you ever watched a river? It is the most grateful thing in nature, always finding the path of least resistance, always accepting the shape of the land it crosses. And yet, it never stops moving. It carves canyons, it feeds oceans. Gratitude and stillness are not the same thing. You can be deeply thankful and still deeply alive with purpose. In fact, I would argue that only the grateful person truly knows what is worth pursuing, because only they can distinguish between what they genuinely want and what the world has merely taught them to want. Here is something that may delight you, or perhaps unsettle you, which is often the same experience. You will not get a second version of this day, not this particular slant of light, not this specific arrangement of people who love you, all of them alive, all of them reachable, all of them carrying their own quiet beauty that you have perhaps stopped noticing because familiarity has dulled your sight. The people you love are extraordinary. You know this, somewhere beneath your busyness, but you have filed it away the way you file away the knowledge that stars are enormous fires burning unthinkable distances away. True, yes, but too large to hold in every moment. I am asking you to hold it now, just for a breath. The people you love are here, and they are extraordinary, and the light through the window is unrepeatable, and the bread on the counter is warm. There is a practice I want to offer you, not as a burden, but as a gift. Each evening, before sleep takes you, name 3 things from the day that you did not earn and could not have commanded. Perhaps it was the way the sky looked at dusk. Perhaps it was a conversation that wandered somewhere surprising and true. Perhaps it was simply the sensation of your own body at rest after honest effort. Name them quietly, without ceremony. This is not a ritual to make you virtuous. It is a way of teaching your eyes to see what is already there, the way a painter trains herself to notice shadow and light that others walk past without a glance. The feast is before you, my dear friend. It has been before you for longer than you know. The table is set with more than you could consume in a lifetime of trying. All that is required is that you sit down, that you pick up your cup, that you taste what has been given and, for once, let it be enough. Not forever, just for this evening, just for this breath. And then tomorrow you may reach for more with my full blessing. But you will reach as someone who is already full, and that, I promise you, changes everything.